Now we are gonna check a game I played against Peter Svidler in 2006. And well, in this game, once more, the opening preparation was very important. And we, with my team, we made a big mistake. And Peter punished us for being so aggressive and missing one very natural move. We'll see, well, how it went. D4. And as you all know, probably Peter Svidler is one of the biggest experts in the Grunfeld in the world. So we were pretty sure he will play it, and so he did. Knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, and d5. He has the main position of the Grunfeld, and basically, well, I've played lots of games against him. And you can choose any line you want, you can prepare any kind of novelties you want. But the problem is he has a very good feeling with the position. Even if he doesn't remember his analysis, or even if he doesn't know the novelty you are preparing, he very often will find the best move just by feeling and calculation. And this is exactly what happened in this game. I prepared some line. Okay, c d5, knight d5, bishop d2, and well, this is not a surprise, of course. It's a common move, but let's see what will happen. Bishop g7, e4. The idea of bishop g2, of course, is that now, if black changes on c3, white will take with the bishop, and in the future, these bishops might be exchanged. And this in general favors white, of course, because this bishop on g7 is the strongest piece in black's position very often. So, well, it's a good idea. It's a very solid line, especially here for white. And this is why Svidler plays knight b6, attacking d4 pawn. But on the other hand, now black didn't change on c3, which is the common idea on Grunfeld, so bishop e3 now is normal. And after short castle, we have reached a very common position. And for this game, we prepared a very aggressive move. In this tournament especially, I remember playing too aggressive and losing too many games because of that. And I'm sure nowadays I wouldn't do it, but at least if I wasn't better prepared than on that days. But, well, I thought it was my chance to play against such strong opponents, and I thought I had to play very aggressive. But actually, I didn't have to. Probably it was a mistake in the decision. Why to play so aggressive? You're playing one of the top players in the world. You're playing the Russian champion, or top 10 player, and he has to win against you, not you against him. And this is going to happen to you in your games as well. You're going to play some opponents with 100, 200 more elo points. Well, don't go for something that you are not very familiar with. Don't try to create something special for that game and to try to show, especially in that game, that you're a great player. The time will come to prove that, but try to play your good chess, your best chess possible. And well, here we decided to play h4. Obviously, this is a very aggressive move. And I remember we analyzed a lot, really. We really took a long time analyzing all kinds of moves. I don't know, let's say we analyzed for sure h5, e5, all kinds of ideas connected with c5. Of course, we analyzed what happened in the game too. Knight c6 is the main move. It's the most natural move. Black is attacking the center. It's very typical. You want to create some trouble in the strong structure of white's position. And one of the ideas is that if white now wants to play something like knight f3, then bishop g4 comes, and now it's basically impossible to hold the center. So in the end, you will need to play or either d5 or e5, and then you'll create some weaknesses that black can try to take advantage of. So here our idea was to play e5, and we were so proud of this move during the preparation, because we thought it's okay, it's giving of course the d5 square, but it's on the other hand restricting the g7 bishop, and it's preparing for an attack on the king side with h5. And we really couldn't find a way to play with black with that we were so worried about. We thought that moves like knight d5 or bishop e6 or f6 or h5 or knight b4, I think we checked lots of moves here. But when I went to the board and my opponent started to think for a little bit, and then he came up with bishop f5, I was like, wow, what is happening here? We haven't checked bishop f5. And this is not only just the best move objectively, but it's also one of the most natural moves. And now the problem is that when our main idea is to play h5, fg6, then this bishop on f5 can take back on g6 and protect h7 and everything. So basically, it's a very good defensive move, but on the other hand, it also prepares jumping with knight b4, which will win a tempo because it's trying to play knight c2 and preparing c5 as well. And here, I really felt terrible. I felt something went completely wrong once more in my preparation. And this is how you start losing games. You prepare something badly, and then you think a lot, and then you make a blunder, or you just get a very bad position. And this connection is happening very often. And it's hard to separate and say when your play was bad in the opening, and then normally it's all connected. The whole game is connected. It's like separating the opening and the middle game and the end game. Everything is connected. So when you play a bad opening, it's often gonna make you have trouble in the middle game and in the end game, and all is connected, and you're gonna have a time trouble very often because you don't like the position. You're gonna think too much. And here after bishop f5, well, it is actually very hard to find a move because, well, let's say I play the main idea, which is to play h5. Now he'll jump knight b4, basically threatening knight c2. This is gonna force me to play rook c1, and now he will play c5, the most typical reaction in Grunfeld. And if you look at the position without a computer, without any other knowledge, you just feel this is totally wrong for white. This attack on the king side, it's never gonna really work. I mean, black is so well protected here. And on the other hand, the center is falling apart, and black's pieces are developed already. He has a safe king, and just everything looks really, really terrible. And this is how I felt during the game. And actually, it's very hard to fight when you have such a terrible feeling that what did I do in the preparation? Everything just went completely wrong. It's only move 9. I could have played a million different lines in Grunfeld, but I chose one that went completely wrong. And the problem when you make a mistake like this in the opening is that it's very often going to come with more mistakes, because it's very hard to say to yourself, like, okay, this happened, but now we are here, and probably this position isn't that bad. I mean, still probably an equal position approximately, but I felt almost lost already, and this feeling is not going to help you. You need to feel like, okay, it doesn't matter what happened before, but I'm going to fight here. And for example, right now, I'm thinking about a move like rook c1. And this looks like a very, very natural move to me. First of all, you stop knight b4, or at least you you can handle knight b4 with a move like a3, and then he has to go back to d5, for example. And this isn't so terrible because you can, for example, take on d5, and somehow you stopped the break on c5, and well, this position is pretty decent actually. So if you stop knight b4, you can later on play with h5, and well, it looks reasonable to me, relatively reasonable. And well, of course, black could try to play something like f6, but then okay, you take, let's say bishop f6, and you play knight f3, and of course it's a little bit strange, all this h4 and everything. But on the other hand, well, h4 is not that weakening. You can even at some point castle in the short, and with a pawn on h4, it's not that terrible. You're not gonna get mated. Sometimes it's probably worse to play a move like g3 or g4, because this pawn on the h file, it doesn't weaken so much. So even if you lose this pawn, it's not so terrible. But well, not actually sure why I didn't play rook c1, but because it looks to me like the very natural move here. Of course, the idea of white was if, in general, if black goes h5, then I'll go bishop e2 and I'll prepare to play some kind of g4 and try to break the position and well, play against the king on g8. But the game went bishop f5. Here I played bishop e2, which basically makes no sense. I think it just makes no sense. I mean, this is gonna happen when you check your games. You'll just, and this is why actually this series of videos that I'm doing here, I think it's gonna be very useful for me, because before I was suffering too much. If you look at a game that you played and you see horrible moves, and well, you need to deal with it, but it's hard to do it. It's hard to go back and say like, why did I play this move? It just makes no sense. But you have to do it at some point. You need to be aware of your mistakes. And probably if I had done it before, I would have learned how to deal with it better and how to improve my mistakes. So, well, this is what I recommend you to get over your losses, and to try to check what you're doing wrong. Just any engine will help you to find what you did wrong very quickly. Here, bishop e2, it's a rare move for me. I don't think it's a very logical move. Or either you play h5, or either you play rook c1, trying to stop knight b4. But bishop e2, it's a little bit of nothing actually. What am I doing here? I mean, I'm trying to play against h5, g4, something like this. This is the only idea I have. But after he played bishop f5, it's quite obvious that he's not gonna give me h5 ever. So that's all. It's a bad move. It's a terrible move. Bishop e2, knight b4 he played, and here, well, I should have played rook c1 probably, and then c5, and well, you're already in trouble here with white. But it's not the end of the world. You're already in trouble. Let's say I take on c5, knight comes to d5. Let's say I take on d5, knight d5, and let's say you play something like knight f3 simply. Okay, knight e3 check, knight e3, fe3, and obviously only black can be better here. Black has full compensation with two bishops, the white's pawns are weak, and everything. But still, white's chances to save the game here are still high. I mean, it's just a little bit worse, but on the other hand, the king will find a relatively safe spot on the king's side, and you're still a pawn up with white. So it's not that bad. But of course not very nice. But if you compare this with what I did, after knight b4, I played g4, which is just well, this is a psychological mistake as well. I was feeling bad. I didn't like my position, but then I'm suiciding here. What is this g4? Even if he will just go back bishop e6, what is the idea of g4? It's just a terrible move. It weakens everything, and it doesn't actually help you, because if you want to attack here, it's gonna be enough to play h5 at some point. Your attack is based on h5, and then let's say at some point you want to open the h file, and you want to play queen d2 and bishop h6 to create some trouble. But g4 in this case is not really gonna help you. So it's hard to justify this move, yes. Even bishop e6, but he played very interesting. Knight c2 check, king f1, knight is e3, fe3, and he just played bishop e6. And now you can see immediately that, well, black has every piece in a good position, nice king, and my king is exposed on f1, my pawns are anywhere. Well, it's just a position that makes no sense. Well, I was 2650 here. So, I mean, it happens to everyone, I think, that you can play a bad game. But of course, if you try to play creative all the time, it's going to happen more often. But on the other hand, of course, I'm not showing the games that I won when I was trying to play creative, so it not always turns like this, like it went really horrible in this game. But sometimes it also went like I found an interesting game and I won in a nice style. But well, when something goes wrong, it's the moment to stop, to calm down during the game, and to try to at least find something playable. And honestly, in this game, this is not playable. This is not even chess. What is this position? It looks terrible. Knight h3 I played, which seems normal. The knight will come to g5 or f4, at least to attack the bishop. And now, well, c5 was very strong, but f6 is also a natural move. I probably have to take f6, bishop f6. King g1 is a good move. At least the king finds a little bit safe place. Svidler played bishop f7. He is trying just to play e5 or to collect this h4 pawn. He couldn't take it one move earlier, probably because of knight f4. But even here he could give an exchange, but you don't need to do that, because your position is already so good that you don't have to make it complicated. Just play it simple. If you have a big advantage, try to play the natural moves. Don't sacrifice. Don't make crazy things unless it's needed. But if you just can't play a normal move, why to make it difficult? And this is what he did. It's correct to play just bishop f7, prepare e5. Okay, I played knight g5 here. There are, of course, different strong ideas. e5 is what he played, which is strong, but it's not the only strong idea. For example, take, and e5 now looks also quite interesting, or even bishop d5 first, and then try to play something like e6, and this pawn on g5 is very weak, as well as sometimes move like queen d6 and queen g3 is a strong threat. It looks just very strong for black. So the game went e5, knight f7, and rook f7. And well, if my position will be now with the pawn on g2, h2 and the rook on f1, this will be a normal equal position. But the problem is, like, with the opening I played, now all my pieces are out of place, and it's super hard to defend here. Probably it's already lost or near to lost. And after 18 moves, my position is really bad, and you're playing a super opponent, and this game is gonna be like 80-90% of the times you're gonna lose this game. And this is because of an opening preparation. And so I was explaining the theory of sharks to some friend of mine some years ago. Like when you feel you are the biggest shark, you can go for aggressive opening lines. When you're the smallest shark, like it's the case here, I'm playing a super GM with more than 100 elo points more than me. Be careful when you go into the open sea and when you try to fish in these deep waters, because it can easily backfire and it can easily go totally wrong, like here. Well, the game went on with d5, bishop e5. Well, he has better pieces and better bishop, and well, it's very hard to fight, but okay, I tried knight e4, bishop b2, rook b1. He played queen e7, which is a precise move, actually. It's a good move. If he will go back, I don't know, bishop e5, for example, then something like queen b3 will give some initiative for white, at least to try to play some knight g5, or to play some h5 or g5 at some point to create some play. But queen e7 is very strong. Now attacking the knight, and the pawn on e3 is also hanging behind the knight. So basically I have to protect this guy on e4, bishop g7, and now black has not only a better position but also a pawn up. But even here, there is always it's not always easy to finish a game, you know. So if you keep fighting, they're going to give you chances sometimes, even if when it looks hopeless. So keep trying. I think I tried pretty interesting moves here. I played knight g5. I'm giving e3, but if he takes, I'll play king g2. And suddenly my pieces will develop with, for example, rook e1. And just to show you how dangerous can get any position very quickly. For example, a mistake like rook d7 here, which looks like a very natural move, attacking the queen, and you might even feel that rook d2 is coming and winning very soon, but it runs into a very nice trick. Queen d7, knight d7, and bishop d5. And after bishop d5, king h8, knight f7, it's just a draw. And if king f8, knight h7, king e7, rook e1, and white is saving the game here. So when you get a very good position, you still need to be very careful. And here Svidler was very careful because queen e3 was a big mistake and will give me the chance to come back in the game. So he just played rook f8. I gave check, king h8. I thought it was time to at least collect some material, and maybe I was right, because if he managed just to protect everything with c6, I will be positionally lost as well. So at least I need to make him create something, not just that he can develop his pieces and win. So at least I thought, okay, let's take this pawn, rook a b8. I played bishop e4 here. Well, if I will just come back, it's losing immediately with, for example, knight c4 and queen b8, queen e3, king h2, bishop e5 is mate. So I had to protect probably my rook on b1. Let's say if now knight c4, Well, I am protecting also the pawn on e3, yes, of course. So there is no queen e3 now. So knight c4 is not working anymore. He played bishop f6. It's a winning move, but it's not the only one, of course. Queen c2, rook e8, creating more trouble. And here, probably my best practical chance was to give knight h7, sacrifice a piece and try to fight in this strange position. King h7, bishop g6 check, king g7, and something like rook h3. And, well, try to play some g5, h5, h6, something like this, or to take on g or e8 at some point. Well, it's a lost position, but maybe this was a little bit more challenging for my opponent. So rook b8, I played rook f1. He played queen d7, which is interesting, but it's probably not the only winning move. Say queen d7, and here I had to play rook h2, and actually, according to the computer, I'm not totally lost yet. I'm just slightly worse here. So, which means that even if you're playing super GM, even if you're playing a horrible opening, even if you are not feeling comfortable with the game, but still, if you're tough enough and you keep searching for resources, you'll still get back into the game sometimes. And here with rook h2, I really don't think it's that bad. I mean, for example, let's say if he takes queen g4, now rook g2, and it's suddenly very dangerous for black. For example, if he goes back, then bishop c6 now it's a problem, for example. So queen g4 is probably a mistake. And if he takes, for example, bishop g5, rook f8, hg5, now at some point the bishop can take on g6, and the pin on the h7 pawn might be interesting. So after queen g4, rook g2 check, rook to, well, not check to the queen. And, well, white is worse, but it's not lost. And bishop in such an endgame can give still some fight, and the king on h8 is also not that safe because I can give some check on c3, for example. So really here I had a very, very good chance to come back into the game. Unfortunately, I cannot know how much time I had in this moment. Later we will check some games, more recent games, where I keep the score sheet, and we can check how much I thought in any move. So we'll see how this can save you some games. If you manage your time correctly, you might find some opportunities sometimes that if you have a couple of minutes only for 10 moves, you'll not find. So this might be an occasion like that. If I had 5 minutes, 3 minutes here, it's going to be very difficult to play a move like rook h2. But if you have half an hour, maybe you'll find it. Anyway, the game ended up like this. I played bishop f3, which is it's a very sad move, actually. It's a very sad move. Now rook e3 comes, you're again a pawn down, and, well, this is already completely lost. Yeah. Rook h3, bishop d4, trying to play rook f3 check, so I played king g2, knight d5, trying to play knight f4. I could play different moves here, but it's already just hopeless. So I played king h1, knight f4, and, well, bishop c6, rook h3, knight h3, queen g4. It's already 2 pawns up. Bishop g2. Okay, I'm not even sure why I was still playing here, but let's just finish the game quickly. Knight g2. When I checked the computer this game, He's especially when he's winning or completely winning, he's not making the most accurate computer move. But humans, we try often to simplify the position. He's trying to change pieces to reach an endgame where he knows it's winning. So he doesn't need to have the most advantage by the computer. Sometimes don't consider a mistake when someone is making a move and it goes to, let's say, +2, and another move was +3. But maybe the move with +2, it's easier. So it's not really a mistake. It's just a human way to play chess. Played knight g2, rook f8, king g7, and well, I played queen c7 check here, which is losing. Computer suggests rook f3, which is a very strange move. After queen f3, queen c7, queen f7, take, take, take. And this is probably lost, but it could have been a better chance. But of course, after, let's say, h5, and this bishop will create problems on h4, and the position is probably just lost, but it was a little bit of a better try. After queen c7, king takes, check, and, well, basically, in a couple of moves, it's over. Well, in this game, once more, opening was very important, and opening came to a little bit of time trouble. I didn't find the best resources in the time trouble. I would say one of the keys of the game, apart from the opening mistake, was the depression after it. And the feeling of, wow, this is happening again. I was preparing for some line. In 2 moves, I'm out of the book. And my position is difficult for me now. And this feeling is one of the most difficult things to change. But on the other hand, who said it's gonna be easy? I mean, you need to be tough to be a good chess player. So you need to try to make your best all the time. If the position is good or if the position is bad, it's not really so important. You need to try to find the best move on every position and try to look at it as a challenge. Try to think, well, I'm worse now, but this is a challenge. Let's try to save this position. Okay, thanks for watching.